Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Peak, and I happen to have Greg Steele. Say hi, Greg.
What up?
And Joshua West. Say hi.
Here.
Bueller.
That's it.
Bueller.
Pass.
Here.
Callista Flockhart on SNL. Pass.
Oh, God. So these sweaty balls, they're quite good. Is this an ancient sweaty recipe?
Just put them in your mouth.
I like to suck on them.
They taste really good.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Superstar. Superstar.
So we were invited down this weekend because Greg's band, 95 Band Albany, Georgia.
Yeah,
How is
95.
it actually found online? A 95 Band.
So at 95 Band Albany, 90 is a word, 5 a number. Band Albany. It's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Can you sign language that for me, please?
I don't know. I'll do it. Clicks.
They had a concert that was supposed to be played this weekend at a local bar that some unforeseen things came up. Apparently we're in a pandemic or something.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. And
It's the word on the
The
street.
stuff I heard.
and
Stuff I heard is that we're in
stuff I
a
heard. So
global
allegedly,
pandemic.
Someone
What had happened was
right.
someone came down with the COVID.
wait,
Not me.
None here.
Not
at the
me.
table.
Not
That's
us.
correct.
No, we were all clear.
Yes, but I had a band member unfortunately test positive for COVID, and we had to cancel the show. And I mean, pretty unfortunately, with the Delta variant, there's a huge spike in cases and among younger people and a lot of unvaccinated folks. And so we knew if we did the show that A, we had a band member that was positive, which is a terrible idea. And then B, we would have unvaccinated people that would come to the show, which is a terrible idea. And that C, even vaccinated people still could catch COVID, right? So,
Right.
I mean, it was one of those things where as much as I didn't want to cancel the show, it was just the right thing to cancel the show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so we canceled it. My birthday weekend, my birthday is tomorrow.
Happy
So
birthday.
I appreciate that. But
You don't look a day over 50.
I am 89, which is really good. Like, yeah.
All that
No.
clean living.
Yeah. That's,
I'm
yeah.
watching out for the
right.
lightning here. It's getting-
Yeah.
Man, I
'Cause
didn't
when I
wear my
think-
boots.
when I
didn't
think
know
of
this was
us-
a boot optional.
Yeah, when
was
I
like,
think of
damn.
us, I think clean living. Yeah, that's what happened.
Obviously.
You're right.
I
So,
am drinking water.
yeah,
I
why?
don't know.
Anyway, so
That's,
mean, it's-
that's not water.
it's like 6:57, isn't it? No, probably not. So anyway, the point is that my birthday weekend, we were supposed to have friends down, and I appreciate you guys so much for coming.
Are we the friends? Just making sure. You
Uh,
said we were. You were supposed to have
Yeah.
friends down, but you thanked us. Thanks for still
Well,
coming.
There was more than one list. We just happened to show up.
the other, the other,
It was like the Terminator list.
the other
Up,
60.
there you go.
Yeah, the other 67 people I've invited wouldn't come. So this is what you get,
They
right? I mean, you
on
know,
Facebook they just said interested,
Yeah,
not
that's right.
going. Just
That's right.
interested.
actually, it was disinterested.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
But,
sort of like dating in your 20s. You're like, I don't know, will you let me? And then it's like, okay, cool. Now we're dating. All right.
Hey, do you think that we could possibly like not ever see each other again?
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So anyway, very fortunate individual is how I consider myself because of the fact that I still hang out with 5 high school friends or 4 high school friends, including me as 5, right?
But
But
you're your own best friend.
that's correct. But like,
Listen, at the end of the day, no one's got your back except you.
fuck that. That's right.
Actually, he couldn't reach his back.
No, he's got a shower attachment.
Oh,
That's right.
I wasn't in the shower when this was going on. Just make sure we're
All I
clear.
want to say is that modern robotics are amazing. I mean, you know what I mean?
So would you like to domo arigato,
Yeah,
Mr. Roboto?
that's correct. Yes.
Google's made some really advanced.
Listen, when I go in my bedroom and shut the door, whatever happens, just those noises, don't
I
listen.
thought that was a trimmer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was shuffling cards. Okay, that's what was happening.
I'm glad I sleep with earplugs.
Yeah. Me too. I was encouraging you to sleep with earplugs. So anyway, So anyway, my birthday, right? So the best thing that can happen for your birthday is have some of your best friends down. So we got 3 Joshes.
They couldn't be here. so
Two
we
of them
tried.
are presents. No, 2 Joshes are present. One of them couldn't come because he has a real job.
Now,
which
see,
is,
for years
which
we've
is
been
weird.
saying
right?
that- we've actually been saying for years that you were a Bob Newhart fan and that you just really wanted to make friends with the same names. So you
No,
should
that's
be
right.
like, "Hi,
Yeah.
my name's Daryl. It's my other brother Daryl."
No, I've met people since then, and their names weren't Josh. I'm like, forget it. I got that kind of time.
Not interested.
That's right. Listen, the guitar player in our band's named Josh, and when I told my wife Lane, like, she's like, "No, I can't do it anymore." She's like, "I can't do it." Right? There's too many Joshes.
I bet he actually has a secret tattoo that says, "If lost, please contact Josh." I'm like, which one?
That's right.
Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
Like,
You're right.
It's a universal
Wow.
thing.
One
That's
of
pretty
them is
close, actually,
probably going to
probably,
save
yeah.
me. One of them would save me. I believe that. Then there's Rodney. We don't talk about Rodney. The only
Oh,
rule
have
about
you
Rodney
seen
is
Rodney?
yeah, it's like Fight Club. You
Well,
don't talk about him. He did. You did see Rodney,
but it's
yeah.
more like a Bill Murray sighting.
I mean,
no one will
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
believe
speaking
you.
of tattoo, I mean, I have a 95 tattoo, but not a lost contact Josh tattoo. So
That's correct. Well, so anyway, we were supposed to have my birthday weekend, friends down. My brother was supposed to be here. He couldn't make it. His friend was supposed to come. I mean, the COVID and show cancellation really kind of goofed things up. However, still got to spend
On a
my birthday
plus,
weekend with
We got to have
two
some
great
really
friends. Yeah.
fantastic corned beef and pastrami that you prepared for us. Thank you.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That was
So
very excellent.
yeah, I appreciate that. So
I remember eating the sandwich tonight. That made it even more better.
That's
better
right.
'cause
Yeah.
I could
I had
remember
one
it.
last night. Didn't remember
just so
that
you know,
one.
you were here last
I
night as
don't-
well.
I remember being here.
Okay.
Apparently, I posted some
You've
stuff
been
on
here for several
Instagram.
nights now.
Yeah.
On Instagram, there are some photos of us singing in the backyard.
Didn't
I
they all got
remember-
canceled, right? Because of the
I
music.
did get some warnings from Lincoln Park's management group saying, "Please take this down.
Yeah.
You don't actually own the rights to this." And I'm like, "Listen, I'm just a
They're
guy.
still upset.
I'm not
It's
trying to
okay.
get any rights or anything. I'm just like sharing
Yeah.
sharing the love,
Yeah,
man."
yeah. So I'll say this. So I sing in a band. I know Josh sings in a band too. But
That Josh, not me.
if
You can sing as well.
listen, all of us sing, and if you take where I am now and singing in the band, it's definitely the basis of it is you guys, right? Like us all singing together. Like I think about like ninth grade, right? Ninth grade, we're
That's the
singing.
reason we met.
Yeah, we're singing Black Crows, singing Guns N' Roses. We're doing all these things, and never hurt with the ladies. I don't think.
No,
Not that I'm aware of.
no.
We used to hang out at my house, and yeah, I'm just saying. So anyway, the point being,
All the good people out there.
that plenty of them, but the point being that the point being
They're
that,
not watching.
and here's the thing
Maybe
that
they are watching.
here's the
What a
thing I
weird
think.
thing.
The thing about if I actually would have had my band show tonight would be the fact you guys would be there. I'd be really excited you were there. And
But we
we're,
couldn't hang out. 'cause
but
we'd be-
yeah, we
we'd be
can't.
working.
Yeah, I know. The thing
I
is,
mean,
is
he and I were going to plan on filming and recording. And
yeah, and that would have been great. And
Yeah.
I would have appreciated that because we need.
I was going to pull my top off. Make sure we're perfectly clear
yeah,
with tattoos
yeah, right.
appropriately
So
placed.
in my band, when we say "show your tits," that's what we get. I mean, that's yeah,
hey.
great.
hey, it ranks pretty high on several people's lists. So wine and cigar was very
I hear it's really big in the Ukraine.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's people's list. Which ones? Which list?
like don't
Don't judge the penile system from.
what,
seventh
Did you say
district of
penile?
Baltimore-
I think you said
don't-
penile.
don't hate, appreciate.
Yeah,
Come on
right.
now.
Okay. So, but the point being though that if I'm doing a show, it's work, right? I'm
Right.
at work. I mean, I can't actually talk to you guys and hang out because I'm singing, or in the break between sets, I'm still interacting with the crowd and passing out koozies and doing all the things we're doing. So, from that standpoint, I do feel like that overall, from the COVID perspective, it was the right choice. But at the same time, we're still hanging out. We're doing this podcast right now because honestly, right now we would be doing the show and we couldn't be doing this. So I missed the show. I'm kind of sad about it. I'm sad my brother couldn't make it. We were gonna have a pretty nice crowd, but added to the list of the stuff COVID fucked up, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It only
Yeah.
canceled most of my world tour last year.
It did.
It did.
Yeah,
True
every
story.
single
Yeah.
show.
Every show except for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's
it's
correct.
pretty unfortunate.
And all I got was this stupid shirt for it.
I'll be
That's
showing
right.
you guys more of that. You got to check out the pictures.
Oh yeah, it's really, that shirt is really great.
You gotta show
Yeah,
the camera.
that's right.
There's-
Yeah, you should turn
oh,
around.
all
So
right.
his band Dad Jokes, they had one show, but they printed out T-shirts where there was the one show, and yet every other single show was canceled.
Every date on the back says
That's right.
canceled.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. They were getting ready to play all over the country. Yeah, it's amazing.
They had a tour lined up.
I mean,
It's canceled. Cancel.
right.
So when you have the T-shirt order in, you just go, "Can we modify this?"
The funny thing is I contacted all those venues, and they're like, "Who?" Right? They're like, "What?"
Like, I didn't know this was going to be Abuse Me podcast.
No, that's a different podcast.
I
They
mean,
have a lot more viewers than I do.
That's correct. Yes. No, I'm sorry. That was real.
I still feel like you're
But it's a
mocking me.
funny T-shirt.
It is a
It's
great
a great T-shirt.
I will.
It's
I
a
will
great
tell you the
t-shirt.
funny thing about
Yeah.
that. I went to go see Sammy Hagar in Key West earlier this year, and they had the exact style shirt. They had the band on the front and on the back. It had all these tour dates canceled,
Yeah, that's right.
canceled.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the first date back for Sammy Hagar and his band, The Circle, was in Key West, and that was the first date
Yeah. That's
that was
right.
on his shirt.
Yep.
And I was mad, but then I'm sitting there going, wait a second, if Sammy Hagar's doing it, we did it first. It's like, we must be pretty cool.
Yeah, that was it. That's a cool shirt. And I'm glad you brought up the tattoos. So you showed the tattoo, right?
Yeah.
So-
I maybe have to show it to the camera better.
Yeah.
right?
So if you're in a band, like, so I pass out koozies at our shows, right? And koozies are popular, but however, we have tattoos, and these are temporary 95 tattoos. I'll tell you that these tattoos are so popular, and if I post anything on Instagram, it's always really hot girls who stick these tattoos wherever. I mean, if you are in a band, you should get some tattoos. I mean, it's a wise investment. They're super
And
cheap.
if you're a guy,
They're super
put
cheap.
them on your face like Post Malone.
Oh my
and
God.
Apparently, it would be really popular.
Listen, I have pictures of people in the band that like stuck it on their forehead. I was like, that was super unwise, but I'll be really happy to put that on our Facebook page.
I did that once with,
Yeah,
a,
that's
with
right.
a Nerf basketball goal section cup. The end result was not good. I can tell you that.
Listen, but that was
I panicked and I yanked the thing off. Left a really big circle on my forehead that lasted for like 5 days.
listen, if only you were in the Olympics. Oh, there's some 95 koozies. Bang. That's right.
This podcast is sponsored by 95, the
That-
best band in Albany named 95.
Albany, Georgia.
that's
I'll
right.
be here all
Albany,
night. Thank
Georgia.
you.
that's
Albany,
right.
Georgia.
Albany, Georgia. Yeah,
Yeah,
because that
Not
other
Albany.
Yeah.
that other 95 band in
We don't
Albany,
want the
Mississippi,
Albany
is still
from-
mad calling like Lincoln
Well,
Park's management group.
In
Yeah,
New
right.
York. I mean, you got Albany, New York's the capital there.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
gonna be
It's
No,
really
that's
pissed off.
Albany. Oh, is this Albany? And
Yeah,
that's Albany.
The best band in Albany,
I
Georgia,
think that's more of
that
an
is in
Amish
the
band.
Northwest quadrant, that has a singer that lives at Northwood Drive.
This is the
and-
most
yeah,
popular
right.
95 band with a guy named
Well,
Greg that
yeah,
lives in
that's
Albany, Georgia.
I mean, that other band 95, that's the number 95. They're pretty good.
That's sort of like having
They're pretty
Swift,
good.
you know, on the road whenever their trucks go by and says first in class. I'm like, first in what class? First in wrecking class? First in I can't believe this truck fit on this road class.
So the secret though is of the other 95, the one that's the number. I'm still the singer. I just wear a Humpty nose. I just say
There
I'm
you go.
just saying,
The
yeah.
secret's out. If you see
Yeah,
him out
that's
with the
right,
Humpty nose,
yeah.
you're like, wait, aren't
That's
you
right.
Greg? And you're like, Greg who?
Yeah. In the 69, the Humpty nose, that one will tickle your rear. The other one, not
Right,
so
you
much.
spell Greg with like 3 instead of the E in your
Yes,
name. It's
that's
okay,
correct,
just
yes.
making sure.
Yeah, you
And
got
the
it. That's
second
right.
G's backwards.
Jizzle. That's that.
Jizzle.
Po jizzle, my
Oh,
nizzle.
jizzle.
Hey. Excuse me, I coughed.
Let me clear my throat.
Oh,
So anyway, I hate that the band wasn't able to perform tonight, but also I'm kind of glad we got to hang out and do this instead.
No, we ate better, right? Yeah, and
we
we,
would
yeah.
we would have
We
ate
still would've
well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Well, we would have probably eaten at the bar tonight. We wouldn't have had what we had tonight.
Well,
no, you'd have been stuck. We'd have been here eating
No.
and eating well
Yeah.
and
You're
drinking
eating
well.
it and eating it and eating it. Well. Oh, that's not good. All right. So anyway, what we did for my birthday was to cook something that I haven't actually done in a couple of years. So we used to have parties at the house, like pre-COVID, right? When you could
swinger
have parties at the house.
They got a pineapple upside down. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So, and I got a pellet grill, and you guys all have pellet grills now, right? But the thing is that in my opinion, the best piece of meat that comes off the pellet grill is something called and
Salmon.
it's a Traeger recipe that's beer brine corned beef. It's a 5-day brine on a brisket that makes it a corned beef, and then we do corned beef, and half of it we put a coriander rub on it and make a pastrami, and then we cut it up and we make Reubens, and so that's what we'd be eating, and good stuff, right? Yeah, very nice. It's kind of a good showpiece for a crowd. We only made 13 pounds of meat for the 3 of us. So
And
there you go.
it's more than half gone.
Yeah, we ate a lot of it. Yeah, yeah.
Also, thanks to Todd. He made us a nice little squash casserole type dish tonight.
So my neighbor Todd, who's next door, who's our our friend for a long time, unfortunately, his wife Cherry is up in Atlanta having to be with her son, and so Todd's unsupervised, which generally is not necessarily good. However, I'll admit it's not necessarily good. We're unsupervised,
The
right?
house is still there. Let's just
It is,
that
it
we
is
can all
still
we
there,
can say
yeah.
we were over there today. The
Yeah.
house is still
Still
intact.
standing.
Yeah. But the thing that's kind of nuts is that like Cherry's kind of Todd's rock, right? So without her, he's a little bit lonely, but he's been hanging out with us. He hung out a lot last night. He hung out with us tonight, and that's good. We're glad to have him.
Would you say he's more of a rudderless boat?
He is. So the funny thing is that I have said for years that without Cherry, the likelihood of Todd actually living on a park bench was high. Like, I don't know, 90%, right? 95?
95%,
Probably 95. So, but
95.
she's been gone a few weeks.
Sponsor of the
There you go.
podcast.
That's
tonight.
right. She's been gone a few weeks and he's not on a park bench yet. So am I wrong, or has it just not been enough time yet? I don't know. I
Maybe
mean,
he thinks that you have a park bench. And that's why he's been over here.
maybe so.
There was some noise on the back porch last night. Just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, that's right.
And you
Yeah.
do have 2 benches back
Well, the
there.
great thing is mine are cushioned too, right?
Well, that's upscale park bench. That's actually not a bad thing back here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to talk about the fact that part of my journey down here was to make the pilgrimage to the world famous Buc-ee's
Oh, yeah.
truck stop in Warner Robins,
Mhm.
Georgia.
And gentlemen, what is Buc-ee's?
It's Mecca. It's
So Buc-ee's is
it's where Black Friday lives every day. It's where meat is smoked on a constant basis and things are baked in the bakery that are constantly being pulled out, and there is 5,000 fountain drink things going on at the same time, and there is a wall of jerky, and there are nuts being roasted over a small
This-
fire.
This sounds
where there's
amazing.
Sugar and candy mixed into it.
Greg, you should tell us more.
you're done with Josh? I mean, he's waxing
I'm not
poetic.
even
He's
super
waxing
part about
poetic.
the pumps yet. I didn't see like it's not a truck stop. I thought it was a truck
No, it's
stop.
not.
I fully expected it to be like a bunch of semis and stuff. No, there's like 600 gas pumps out there.
They don't even let semis into the one
Right, they
at
have
Warner
signs up that
Robins.
says
Yeah, no
trucks.
semis. So
Well, I don't know. All I know, I was 187 miles away from the store.
Ugh.
187, and there was a board for it.
yeah, that's right.
Then-
Yeah,
At 186 miles, there was another billboard for it.
We're
I'm
getting-
sitting there going,
we're
wait a
getting
second,
one-
is this south
it's like
of the
south
border?
of the border.
Getting
Yeah,
one built in Florence
yeah.
on
Exactly.
the exit I work at exit 170, and it is supposed to be bigger than this one.
That
And it's
so the-
sounds
The one they're
awesome
building,
and
the one they're building in Florence is going to be the biggest Buc-ee's in the country. So Buc-ee's started in Texas, and there are a bunch of them in Texas, and they've been only in Texas. And then they spread out to Gulf Shores, Alabama, which is the first one I ever went to. And now there's a few in Florida. They have them in Daytona Beach and some other
Mhm.
places. But they're building the Florence, South Carolina. They did Warner Robins, Georgia. Now the Warner Robins, Georgia one is, I think, somewhere a little over 40,000 square feet. And it has a gift section, and then it has a food section, and it serves a bunch of food. They're like cranking out brisket continuously. They have great sliced brisket sandwiches, a bunch
They
of
had
beef jerky,
probably
a
20
bakery.
people working in their little meat thing in the middle,
Oh
where
yeah,
they were constantly chopping up brisket
Constantly
to make
pulling out
brisket,
briskets.
chopped
Yeah,
sandwiches,
over and over.
slicing brisket to make brisket.
their
and
sliced
that.
brisket sandwich
They were
is
slicing
amazing.
turkey, smoked turkey, because they were making turkeys. And I mean, as fast as they could put them out, people were grabbing them.
Yeah,
I was like, "Good
that's right.
God, look at all the stuff going on here." And I mean, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic with COVID and whatever else, but it looked like Black Friday
Not
at
a
a
not a
mall,
not a
and they were
Buc-ee's.
giving away TVs. Like people were like, okay.
Yeah,
I
not a
felt like
Buc-ee's.
people were picking my nose. They were so close to me. And I was like, "There's so
Yeah.
many people."
No, it.
Yeah, like I
Buc-ee's
wanted
is,
Greg's little tag you got that says "Don't touch me."
Yeah, that's
I
right.
wanted that on my shirt just because I was like, "Don't touch me, stop it."
So the Warner Robins one has about 220 gas pumps, and the previous largest one, or at least the largest one in Texas, had over 400 gas pumps. And since the Florence one is actually going to be larger in square footage than any other Buc-ee's ever, I'm not sure how many gas pumps they're going to have. It might be like 600.
I mean, it's perfect because I mean, 90.
Oh,
you know,
95 and 20. Yeah,
that
that's right.
is one of the
And
Mecca
you're on the way to Myrtle
intersections.
Beach, which is one of the top tourist destinations in the
I
country.
mean, theoretically, that is the place where the most drug deals go down because it's halfway between Florida and New York City.
Allegedly.
That's allegedly. I'm
Allegedly.
sorry. You're
Allegedly.
right. Allegedly, what had happened was people stopped there and then they just turn around and go back to their other locations.
Sometimes.
It's weird.
It's where they rest and then they go home.
So there's
Yeah.
a couple
Just
interesting.
the car's either heavier or lighter. It's
Maybe
weird.
they change keys and someone takes the car over to a different place or the truck or whatever. Whatever.
So some interesting things about Buc-ee's. So we were at one of them, and there was the guy working behind the counter, and he was wearing a coat, and it's cold as shit at Buc-ee's. And I asked him, I was like, dude, why is it so cold in here all the time? And it's like, because we want you to leave. He's like, we get too many people in here. We have to keep it cold or else people would stay all day, and we can't have that many people. And they have no tables, like they have all this food, but you can't, when you order food, there's nowhere to eat inside. You have to go eat in your car because
Is
they don't
that
want you
every
in there.
location.
Every location. They don't want you in there. They're like,
The
come
bathroom-
in, get your shit, get out.
One of the largest
Yeah.
bathrooms I've ever seen.
Oh my
even
God.
Even compared to like sporting events,
Oh, their bathrooms.
NASCAR, football, basketball, doesn't matter.
But the key about their bathrooms is not how big they are. It's that they're the cleanest
They're super
bathrooms
clean.
in the whole
And there's
world.
artwork all over the walls
yeah.
that are for sale, like really nice artwork.
When you come out of a stall in their bathroom, a dude like immediately goes in behind you and makes sure it's totally clean. Like their
smells-
bathrooms are
It smelled
spotless.
like-
Oh,
like
they're
this
amazing.
candle that Greg
Yeah,
just lit in here.
They're amazing. They got the best bathrooms. And-
Absolutely.
That's a good endorsement.
And I
That's
got
that's
the-
the see, that's the hard hitting information I was looking
And I
for
got
from
the
Greg. I
largest-
knew I would get the bathroom information
I
for
got
sure.
the largest fountain drink that they had, and it was 79 cents. And I was like, what?
Buc-ee's is a like so
And it
when,
was 20 feet of fountain drink opportunities. I was
When-
just like, good
when they
Lord.
when they did the Buc-ee's in Warner Robins, I had been to the Alabama one. So like literally I was like the Pied Piper. Like I'm out there calling out how great Buc-ee's is. And people are like, it's a gas station. It's like a gas station. Why would you go there? And you don't understand it unless you go. And once everyone goes, every single person who goes is like, holy crap, that was like the best place I've ever been.
So it being your birthday, I knew you wanted some snacks, and I said, "So what do you want?" You said, "Hey, I'd like some of these and some of that. You know, if you can swing it." And I was like, "Okay." So I got some snacks, and then while I was on the phone, I was like, "Hey, they also got some of this," and so I got some different rubs and stuff that I
Oh,
could
yeah.
cook with.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to buy some clothes, and I thought, "No, this is enough. You got enough." I had a buggy full. So I also grabbed me a snack because I was like, it's been 3 hours since I ate. Sure, I need a brisket sandwich. Why not?
Yeah, that's right.
And
Mhm.
yeah, I get to the register at $60, and I was like,
Oh,
I just got snacks, and she's like,
I
welcome
think
to Buc-ee's.
I think 60 is cheap. If you're gonna
It's
go
like,
for your
good
first time to Buc-ee's, I'd take $100 and I'd take like 2 hours
Yeah.
or 3 hours. Like it's you can't see every. I've been there
when I walked
on
in,
multiple occasions
when I
and I
walked in,
still
I saw
don't
a
know
buggy,
everything.
and
Yeah.
I was like, I know I need a buggy, but I got to pee first, and it took me half an hour to get from the door to the bathroom to pee because I kept stopping to look at stuff, and
I
I was
know.
like, no,
It's
you gotta
everywhere.
go pee first.
Yeah.
Go pee and then
Like,
come about
it's
the buggy.
it's not a gas station. It's not a convenience store. It's an event.
They
I
had a
mean,
full bakery
yeah,
in
it's
there.
an event.
I bought us something called Klotchkes along the way. They're
Mhm.
like little.
Oh,
Danish
they
flavor
have
things.
20 feet of jerky. I mean, they have it's a ridiculous.
They were giving
It's
away
ridiculous.
jerky up front. This,
Yeah.
this garlic herb
Mhm.
jerky that they just made, and they're like, "Hey, try some of this." I'm like, "This is so good."
It's an amazing place. I mean, the
I was like,
point.
"What other jerky
yeah,
do we have?" He goes, "You mean this wall of jerky?" And I was like,
yeah. The point of it is that they're like, it's a gas station. It's gonna be. It's not that. It's not that.
Yeah.
And you talk to people about it, and they think it's stupid until they go, and they're like, yeah, that was the best
Yeah, I
thing.
thought it was
That was
stupid.
great.
I
Yeah.
thought it was stupid until I
Yeah.
went.
No, you can't
I knew it was going to
describe
be
it.
special, but I didn't know how special.
You can't describe it to people, and there's no way that anyone like imagines how cool it's gonna be.
Yep.
You should go. If
It-
you haven't gone, go.
And it's extremely clean. Like
Yeah.
that's the craziest part.
That's right.
So I will have to say, just because I've done a lot of traveling over the past couple weeks, and we were in South Dakota, in that area, and they had some regional gas stations up there. And this is the first time in my entire life that I've gone to a truck stop / gas station on the road that had bidets in every men's stall.
Really?
Trying to cut down on the toilet paper.
Yeah, that's right. You
Sure,
can't
I was
get
a little
toilet paper.
intimidated, and I was like, so I ran in and ran out, and I was like, I was scared. Half hour later, my wife comes out, and I go, "Where have you been?" And I go, "Never mind, never mind."
I've never done the bidet. Have you done the bidet?
No, it scares the crap out of me. I,
I'm a
said,
little
I
intimidated
think
by it.
about the comedians like, it's like the airport toilet water. And you're like, I'm done. And it's like, why does the water go in there? No.
So the question I would have in that situation would be like, am I gonna like this too much? Like, is this gonna be too great?
Well,
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these days, you know how technology is. Like, you can get one on Amazon for like $36. They have them you can put on your existing
You can probably
toilet
get it on Wish for
for
like
like
$5.
$36. Yeah.
Right. Just got to wait
Right.
6 weeks to 6
Or you
months.
can call
for
the
it.
fire department. That's the other option, but that's a little painful.
I don't-
Their hoses are pretty strong.
How do you know the hoses are really strong?
We're not going to talk about that. It's just
Well,
where you
listen-
put the
listen.
smoking toaster oven.
Is that what we're calling it?
That's right.
You mean the GF grill, the
Yeah,
George Foreman
that's
grill?
right, yeah. Oh,
That
the
was-
George. Yeah.
I trade away.
Yeah, tread away.
Right now, going, "Shut up, guys."
Yeah.
Still not allowed to use a George Foreman grill 30 years later.
Yes.
Anybody smell something sweet?
Actually, we have it set up where, like, on his
Look at the
actual
French toast.
TV, if a George Foreman commercial is going to come on, it just blacks.
blocks
It's
it, yeah.
blacked out. Yeah, he can't even see a commercial. Sorry, Josh.
Josh was cooking. Excuse me. This is the third Josh that's not present.
That's right.
You guys have seen him on the podcast.
Yes, I'm sure those
on
who,
last
those who
week's podcast.
frequent the Stuff I Heard podcast will know of Josh Treadaway.
When he was younger, he may have put something on the grill and fell asleep.
Is that what you
Well,
call it?
that's not-
Falling
well,
asleep?
That's actually selling the story short.
Listen, I'm trying to be really nice here.
I mean, we all came back from having a good time out in Columbia, South Carolina. 5
Sure.
points.
I don't know
night
what
works.
you're talking about.
We were having a good time, and some of us were hungry. Okay, one
I've
of
never
us.
been to Belize.
One of us was hungry because the rest of us ate at Frank's down there outside of Nightworks.
Thanks.
Dirty Franks.
Yes, right outside of Nightworks. Everything was closed except for Frank's food truck, who
There's a
had
building there now,
everything. Yeah, that's sad.
and it's closed down.
It's sad.
Frank-
All that's
Frank was
changed.
like, I don't know, 87 back then. Like, you know,
and rolling in it. He,
Yeah,
he
oh,
was
sure.
he was selling
Yeah.
like one mozzarella stick for $10. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Ah, give me
Yeah,
10.
that's
Hey guys, you hungry? I got
You're
$5.
talking about that $100
$5
bill. That's go to Frank's at 2 or 3 in the morning. You're spending.
If anyone ever in the world built a castle off corn dogs, it was that
Frank.
dude. Yeah.
Josh Treadaway comes home. He's hungry, and we have used the George Foreman grill to cook many a thing. But
Well-
we all went to sleep not knowing that Josh was going to be marinating some sort of
So wait,
meat for
so
4 hours.
so wait,
overnight.
this I think the story goes as such. So I kind of was the only one in our apartment that actually might have to get up early for work, right? So I get up. I have to be at work at 6:45. I get up, and immediately upon getting up, I'm sniffing. I'm like, somebody's making breakfast. Like, that smells like French toast. So at the time, Eric that lived with us had this girlfriend. What was her name?
Allison.
I know you know what her name was. So anyway, I'm like, did Allison come over and she's cooking breakfast? I was like, wow, I'm excited. So I come out and I roll out there. No sound. Nobody's awake. And Treadaway is passed out on the couch. Now, keep in mind, he's got a bed. It's not in that.
Okay, I was gonna
He's
say
passed out on the
also
couch.
passing out on the couch
Yeah.
for him was not an anomaly.
No,
so they were
fair,
like,
right,
"Yeah,
right,
there's
yeah.
Treadaway again."
Right. So I'm like, okay, no one's awake. Who's cooking breakfast?
You know who
Yeah.
is George
Yeah.
Foreman?
Amigos.
So it turns out our friend there, Treadaway, before passing out drunk on the couch, has put hot dogs on the George Foreman that have now been stewing. Stewing's a good word, right?
Well,
For 4 hours.
I watched a TV show where this lady goes into a store where they have the little rotating hot dog cooker
right,
things,
right.
and she goes in and she's like, "How much for the hot dog?" He goes, "Well, actually, after they've been on the cooker for 8 hours, we can't sell them as hot dogs anymore." She goes, "What do you sell them as?" And she goes, "Well, we're supposed to call them wizard fingers." She's like, "Really? Wizard fingers?" He goes, they kind of look like it, don't they? And she's like, okay. So how much for wizard fingers? And he tells her, and she goes, I don't know. Give me 3. He goes, if you do the fist, then you get it for this price. She goes, all right, fist me. So she has a fist full of wizard fingers. She's trying to drive home, and she's got them all in her mouth. She's like, ah. And I was like, all I could think of was, I wondered if those hot dogs look like these wizard fingers,
Well,
because these are pretty bad looking.
that's a horrific story. However, but
I'm
I'm
gonna
sure
put the
they look
microphone
that.
down.
Yeah, I'm sure they look that. So the best thing about that, I'm not actually sure why this occurred, but in my brain, whenever something went wrong with Treadaway, the only answer to that question was tell Peek about it. So
Well, I was up that morning as well.
Yeah.
I had to go to work at the airport
were
early.
sharing-
That's back when I was working
He
with
and
the
I were sharing a
airlines.
bedroom at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So I come in and I tell Peek, I'm like, get up, yeah, Peek, tread away. And he's like, what? And I'm like, the full left, hot dogs on the George Foreman for 4 hours. So this guy gets up and he walks out to the living room where he's passed out on the couch and literally kicks him in the head. Like he kicked him directly. No, not his shoulder. No, not his buddy. Directly in the head.
I don't remember this part.
It was unbelievable. So you kicked him in the head, and then we yelled at him, like all of us, for a number of minutes. And then we unplugged the George Foreman, and then he lost privileges. And 20 years later, he still doesn't. He has not had them reinstated. So no, it's not reinstated.
True story.
It is a true story.
Somewhere amongst that story, there's a lot of truth. Yes, he did do something on the George Foreman. He is no longer allowed to use a George Foreman. And there's pictures on the walls of most Walmarts saying, please do not send
No,
this
George
man
Foreman
George
himself, if you go to the website, there is a
Disclaimer.
yeah, right. This gentleman, a picture.
George
Is
Foreman does not
allowed.
approve of the cooking methods
Yeah,
of
that's
Josh
right,
Treadway.
correct, yes. Josh Treadway is not allowed to use any of my products ever.
He's going to
I
watch
feel
this
bad he's- I
podcast
feel
and
bad
just
he's not here
love
to
it.
defend himself. Be like, guys, I totally had it under control.
No, no, he does not
there's
even
no
try.
way.
Anyway. Yeah,
There's
he just-
0%
He just does
chance.
this. He's a,
Listen, he's not. I'm not actually sure. After you kicked him in the head, he actually regained consciousness. I don't know. I actually
He was pretty
remember it.
drunk.
Other than that, we yelled at him. Like we yelled at him not just then, but for like 4 straight days after that, and he knew we lost
well, it
privileges.
still smelled like the French toast burnt hot dogs for that long. And we even aired out the
We're actually
apartment.
pretty lucky the place didn't catch on fire.
Yes.
I mean,
But who knew that if you cook hot dogs at a George Foreman for 4 hours, they smell like French toast? It was almost
So,
like an experiment.
Rodney is a food scientist. and
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder if
right,
that
yeah.
experiment was ever done at any of the factories he worked
There's
in.
no reason. We've done it.
know.
We've proven it.
Like they
That's
did
it.
it,
Yeah.
I teach a
Yeah.
driving class about driver safety, and I have to tell them about an accident that happened. And one of my first questions is, who in their right mind would think this is a good idea? Nobody, obviously. But this happened to this person. So from now on, we do this. And they were like,
So here's my real question. Is there now an auto shut off switch on the George Foreman?
no,
Right. There should be one. I mean, shouldn't it be like, hey,
no.
like 27 minutes has gone by. Let's cut that off. There's nothing else on George Foreman that requires
I don't
more
know that
than
they actually still
27
sell
minutes.
George Foreman
They
grills.
do.
Oh, they
They do?
do. There's
do.
a 0% chance they don't.
They
Yeah,
still do.
Because he has like 19 kids and they're all named George. So
Well, even the daughters.
yeah.
So I also wonder, like, if he's gone away from the
is that
the
Kevin
grill,
George?
and now there's like
Chicks dig
the
it.
George Foreman air fryer, maybe.
Oh, there is. Oh, actually, yes. I do
This
believe
is
I've
not
se-
sponsored by George Foreman at all, by the way.
No,
I'm
no,
just
it's
saying.
sponsored by 95, the best band named 95 in Albany, Georgia.
The best band named 95 in
Nailed
the
it.
South. Yeah,
Thanks,
right.
thanks. I'll expect my payment later.
I think Albany, Georgia is a little broad. There could potentially be another band named 95. So, so it might like in Albany, Georgia, that is between the streets of Dawson Road and Westover Boulevard.
Be
maybe.
careful. You have groupies. That
I got groupies.
They have
I-
tattoos.
I have seen pictures
Tattoos.
on Instagram.
Let me tell you about tattoos.
Tell
No,
me-
let
tell
me
me-
not
Tell
tell
me a
you
little
that. No,
something
let me
about
not tell you that.
tattoos.
No,
What do you
that-
know
let-
about tattoos?
Let's not. Nothing.
He knows a guy.
I know nothing. I just
Met a
say
girl.
that if you had a band and you're playing and you can get a crowd and you have temporary tattoos, it's a good thing.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's
It's a-
fun. Everybody
It
has
is
a
a
good time.
good thing. Everyone likes them. And
It's fun.
individuals like dudes, the best thing dudes can do with them is stick them on their forehead. I have a couple of pictures of guys that have stuck them in the middle of their forehead. That's not a good idea. It's good for me. I'll take it and I'll put it on our band page. And I
It
don't
does
know.
take some work to get it off.
Yeah. Oh, it takes like 6 days. Like the people that put it on. Yeah. The people that put it on their forehead, I know 100% they're going to work Monday and it's still going to be there and they can't get it off. That's great. Not without like a surgical procedure.
Well, do you
So,
think
yeah.
do you think like fingernail polish remover would it work or
Makeup remover.
maybe baby oil?
Goo
Yeah. maybe-
Whatever it
maybe
is
Goof Off?
probably poisonous for your forehead, but okay, whatever.
Okay, what about kerosene?
Yes, that's a great
Brake-
idea.
brake
Let's do
cleaner.
that. Yeah.
Kerosene.
Brake
your
cleaner.
skin.
'cause-
So the
yes.
thing is like you could have that tattoo on your head Monday morning or a skin graft. Like
Yeah,
those are your
yeah,
choices.
You could have a chemical burn.
Yeah. So those are good. But however, and the better part is that the young ladies, I mean,
Well,
we
wait, and the-
played
and the old ladies.
we played a gig one night where one of the waitresses
87 years old.
I know. So I
The old
said his peer group is there. So the old ladies.
one of the waitresses that worked there was wearing these really, really short shorts, and she put 2 tattoos on her upper thighs, like right below her shorts, and walked around like that all night. That was awesome. I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Those pictures are not on Instagram yet.
I don't have pictures of that. I saw it, but I didn't get pictures, unfortunately. But we could probably do that again. I mean, the great thing about being in a band is we can't rule it out. It could
Right.
come back. I could ask someone, they'd do it. I mean, but I like the tramp stamp ones are good. I like the ones that the ladies will put them on their lower abdomen. Those are always pretty
Mm.
good. And then some of them put them, well, other places. But anyway,
Where their heart is.
tattoos.
Where Eve had
You
her
do
paw,
that.
where Eve had her paw prints.
Correct. Do that. Oh yeah, do that. Tattoos. Tattoos are good. If you have a band, get some tattoos. It's worth it. They're like, I don't know, 6 cents. Really worth your time. I'm just saying.
That's our information sharing portion of the show.
That's correct. Yes. I'm sorry.
How to save money on tattoos by
And Bucky's.
the Fat Boy.
Yes. I think that we should make 95 tattoos with the Bucky's beaver. I'm just saying it's probably a copyright infringement.
Probably, but if you put DFB on there, would it be okay?
Sure.
I wonder if Bucky's has temporary tattoos.
They should. They
Hey,
should.
Hmm.
Marketing department, reach out to us. We have some ideas.
Listen, here's the thing. My father, I'll tell you this story. I don't know if it's a good story, but who cares? So my father lives in Evans, Georgia, which over the last 20 years gets super traffic heavy, and it's when he first moves there, it's like living in a field, and then it gets busy. So he's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move to Appling, Georgia, which I know you know where that is, right? So he builds a house off of one of the Appling exits. And he's like, oh, this is so great. Like there's no one out here and there's these woods and everything's good. So what happens? Amazon, our friends, right off that exit, build a warehouse that goes for 8,000 miles. Like that is the biggest warehouse I've ever seen in my life. And so like literally my dad's exit goes from being this podunk 2-lane exit to now they're building traffic circles and all this kind of stuff. Like it is going to be so stupid.
Your dad's really happy about this.
Every
I
piece
am
of property,
sure.
like every piece of property that was woods that he's like, oh, it's so great out here, all sold for like 15 times what it was. Hey, cat. Oh, I got the door closed. I gotta let that. But the point is that now that Josh. Okay. So now the point is they built this Amazon warehouse like literally on his exit. And I'm like, that's where a Bucky's needs to go, right? Like what would be a better place to build a Bucky's than on the Amazon warehouse exit? So
Normally you say who let the dogs out, but now it's who let the cat in.
who let the cat in? Yeah. Did it come in?
No, he ran away just like you knew he would.
Run
but that's okay.
away! Run away! Did you
The
throw the
Todd-
holy hand
The
grenade?
Todd door scared the cat away.
I think you threw the holy hand grenade. So anyway, all right. So
Proximity mines.
that's a stupid story, but I'll tell you that. So what's really funny is in my dad's neighborhood in Evans, like he lived on the side where there were some woods, but on the other side of that neighborhood, Walmart bought the property next to it, and they built a retaining wall of like totally like brick, or they are just whatever the those things are. So like those people's backyards turned into this huge retaining wall for a Walmart. I'm like, how'd that do for your property values? That was great, wasn't it? Right. So my dad's like, we got to move out of here. So he moves out of there. Amazon. Although I'll say, I mean, his property values just doubled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows?
Well, I don't think it matters where you live. I think that no matter where you are, there's going to be things in your area before you even know it. My wife's family owns some property down in South Georgia, and for the longest time, it was just a country road, 2-lane road, not a lot going on. And yeah, just go ahead and walk the rest there.
It's your people.
And now he's got like traffic on a regular basis going by, just racing up and down the road. And he's just like, I used to live in the country. What happened? What happened to the country? And I was like, well, progress. It happens. It happens to all of us. It happens everywhere. So you, on the other hand, live in a very busy city up in Salisbury, Maryland.
I don't know if I mean, I don't know. Busy is
You're
the
right
right
outside
word.
of Baltimore. I mean,
Well, it's really not where Salisbury is located is on a peninsula on, if those who know what the state of Maryland looks like, on the side closest to the ocean is a peninsula. And so we're about an hour and 30 minutes away from Baltimore area. So we are a little more rural, agriculture, chicken plants, and such over on the shore. A lot of seafood, crabbing, and the like. So, but I think Albany, I don't know what the population is here in Albany, but I actually think Albany might be more population than where I'm at.
I was pretty impressed at the size of Albany. We were driving around today.
Yeah.
We had some brunch downtown Albany. Like most places, downtown areas are trying to revitalize, and this is no different. We went to an area that you could tell a lot of businesses had left, but this was a little bakery breakfast place called Broken Heart Bakery, and it was very good. Really good meal. The place is done really nice. I could see that kind of growing, but as we drove through the city, I couldn't help look around at some of the buildings and think, wow, this is kind of a big city. I mean, I think it's bigger than Florence. I mean,
It may very well
it's
do.
pretty happening.
Again, I haven't been to Florence really. I remember Florence, but I don't remember population
Florence has
numbers.
gotten crazy with traffic.
Well, it is
The
a good
location of
proximity.
it
Yeah.
It's just been like the place to be lately, and so there is a large population influx there now. And honestly, besides going to work and going home, I don't get out in Florence much. So I could be totally off basis as far as my gauge, but this is a pretty big town. And it's really weird because to me, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if you look at the map, you're like, why is there a town there? I don't know. Maybe it has to do with the train. Maybe it has to do with the river nearby. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just far enough outside of Atlanta. They were like, maybe we should put a town here.
Maybe. You never know. Never
Yeah.
know how it started.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone knows the history. Greg might know.
No, Greg doesn't pay attention to stuff like that.
He knows weird stuff though.
He does know weird stuff, but I don't think he knows that part.
I mean, he knew there was an aquarium downtown, so I mean, got to give him credit for that.
It's just because he had jury duty.
That's true. He knows where all the bad things happen for sure.
Yeah.
So he does. He knows a lot of good people. He knows who the bad people are now. No, we're talking about your grand jury experience.
I don't think we're allowed to talk about the
Well,
actual.
Well, he didn't tell us anything.
He's not allowed to talk
he
about
just,
the individual
right.
situation.
No, you
Just
were.
generalizations of
This is like the people's
saw some
court.
things happen and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
So you're
gets
not.
to see the sad, bad things that happen.
You're not allowed to talk about the specific things because of the fact that a person may be being investigated, and yet maybe it's that they shouldn't be indicted.
Allegedly did certain
Well,
things.
And so you don't want to like say anything about them to where like the public is like, this is a bad
No,
person.
no, it
or
was more
whatever,
comments about
You,
there's some crime in certain parts of this town. It's really
the comment
higher
was
than
is
I
like
thought it would be.
I said you knew actually a lot about Albany, and
Well, so I think the thing that we're seeing is true. So I have to serve for 4 days and I'm 2 days in. And so the thing that's very true is that gun violence is a big problem here. And the grand jury actually is going to have to release a report about what we think. And it's distributed to all like the
Law enforcement.
politicians and
Oh.
law enforcement and everyone in a whole bunch of counties. And it's like we're making recommendations. And one of the things I think we're seeing already in our grand jury, now, not that ours is more special than any other one, but like we're really going out of our way to say, it like the grand jury has, so what a grand jury is that you can go to jury duty where you're like get picked for a trial. And so you're picking one trial and you're trying to decide, is this person guilty or are they innocent? But the grand jury is one where if you are being investigated for a crime and they want to charge you for that crime and you're going to be indicted, there has to legally a grand jury has to say that there's enough evidence to think maybe that crime was committed to take you to a trial. So it's like the cops just can't say, oh, we don't like this dude, so we're going to like charge him with something, but we don't really have any evidence. And so we want to charge him. Well, a grand jury, if there's no evidence, is going to say, no, you can't charge that person, right? Now, I think the real thing is that the cases that are brought up for indictment are brought up by the district attorney who's an elected official. And so elected officials can't lose a bunch of cases, right? Because they won't get reelected. And they also don't actually bring charges against people they don't have evidence, right? And so what we're finding is the majority of those cases are gonna, like, most of the time it's like there's video evidence, like they saw the person doing it. Okay, well, that's okay. We can deal with that, right? I mean, but they're not, I mean, I don't think that we've seen that most of it is frivolous, but with all that being said, we're seeing that gun violence is a problem in our city. I mean, the bottom line. And so one thing that the grand jury has the power to do, which I think is sort of interesting, is the fact that not only does the grand jury decide if that person can be charged, but they also decide what those charges can be. And so the grand jury can add charges or they can take them away. So like if you have it where they're like, well, okay, so this is the evidence and we want to charge the people with this thing, we could look at those 3 charges and say, well, 2 are good, but one of them, there's not really evidence for that. So that grand jury can say you can't charge them for that. But the other thing the grand jury has the power to do is also look at the case and go, that was pretty bad. You're not charging them for this and you probably should. And so our particular grand jury is making sure that gun charges are charged fairly, right? So what you see sometimes is that you'll have one gun charge and this person will be charged for 3 counts. And then there'll be another gun charge and they'll only have charged them for 2 of those counts. And so our particular grand jury is full of people who feel like that there should be consistency. And so we're like, if it's 3 for one, it should be for 3 for the other, right? And so, but at the same time, so we're making sure that it's fair, but we also are saying gun violence is a problem in our city, and we want there to be maximum charges for gun violence crimes, because we feel like if there's maximum charges, that we're trying to do everything we can. Wow.
The mice are riding Harleys
What
again
happened
in your
there?
house.
So my candle, there's the reason. But we're also trying to make sure that
Kitty.
we're also trying to make sure that we do maximum charges for gun violence. And the reason we're doing it is because we'd like there to be less gun violence, right? And so we do not want people doing those things to continue to be on the streets. And we also would like it to be known that if you're going to do stuff like that, that there's going to be severe penalties for it, right? And so, but there's big gun problems and domestic violence problems in Albany. And the only reason I can confidently say it is because we've probably reviewed, I don't know, I'd say 130 cases so far. And a huge number of those cases have to do with gun violence or domestic violence. And so that says it's a problem. Well, it'd be great if that could end, right? So not that we have the total power to stop it, but we have some power, so we're going to use it. That's all I can say.
I wonder if that is in correlation with something to do with unemployment or low income or whatever. But also, like, we're also in a situation where you throw a rock in any direction and you got people hiring right now.
So Albany, and I've talked to Josh West about this. I'm not sure you and I have had this conversation, but indigent and poverty rates in Albany are humongous.
Yeah.
Right. And so where you find poverty and where you find hopelessness, right, where you find people that don't feel like that they can change their situations, because it's generational in a lot of situations, they don't feel like they have a lot of other options other than some of these things.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I do believe that some of it, or maybe even a lot of it, is a product of where we are. It doesn't change the fact that it doesn't make it okay, right? Like it has to stop, because the problem isn't necessarily like you could look at the person who perpetrated a crime and you could say, well, it's because of poverty, it's because of this, because of that. But at the same time, there's a victim, right? Like somebody
Somebody got hurt.
and the majority of those victims unfortunately are also people in poverty, and also right, like it seems like that when you don't necessarily do things about these crimes, the people who pay for them or the people who are victims of them are also those people. And so you don't want those people to be victims for those crimes, right? So I don't think it's ideal. It would be a lot better. Could we just change that cycle and make it where those people don't do those things anymore? I think the answer is yes. It would be great if we could do that. But I can't fix that, unfortunately. Currently, where I'm at the point where the crimes have been done, or allegedly, right? And so
they're being tried.
Right. And
Yeah.
so the question is there's a victim, right? And do you want those victims to not have any recourse for the things they've suffered? I think the answer is no, right? So,
All right. So the real question is we wanted to know is how did Albany come to be? Why is Albany, Georgia here?
Like if you look on a map and you go,
Yeah. Why?
Why should we put a town
How did
here?
Albany happen?
is that to
So-
do with the railroad or
Wait,
rivers
wait.
or trade or
Go ahead, Greg.
well, Albany, Georgia, at one point historically was a very, very, very wayward town. And the reason I say that is because there's a place here called Radium Springs. There used to be a casino. Prostitution used to be high here.
oh,
It used to be kind of a Wild West town.
okay.
Murder rates used to be fairly high among people who would come and write that kind of thing. And so, of course, all that stuff is shut down. But Albany's an odd town. And the reason I say it is because there was a proposal at one time to bring I-75 through Albany. Well, that didn't happen. I-75 ended up going through Valdosta. And so Valdosta is a town that prospered because an interstate came through there. And Albany, you can't get here without driving an hour off of an interstate. Like there's no great way to get here. It's almost like we're in
And yet
a
it's a big city. I mean, driving around.
oh, it's a very big city. Like
It's
we're
very spread out.
we're in this, yeah, it's very broad, and we're in the northwest quadrant. And the town that is right next to where we currently are, called Leedsburg, are the prosperous parts of towns. And then there's this huge swath of the rest of this town in poverty, and indigent folks are the majority of this city. And so, and it's been that way. Like it's not new. I mean, that's how this town's been, right? And so it's not great. And tax rates here are very high, right? Like you can live in Leesburg and tax rates are low. I live in Albany and tax rates are very high, property taxes, but they're very high because you have a small number of people that are actually paying the taxes here, right? Because we have a large indigent population. And, unfortunately, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Right. It's not enough. And it can't be enough. But so one of the things about where I work, which is the local hospital system, which serves this population, and it serves this population despite like the people that started this hospital started it with the charter being that anyone who came to this hospital would get cared for. And so this is a nonprofit hospital, and it's a hospital where it doesn't matter who you are, what you have, or whatever. There's no one that's going to come in that's not going to get care. And there's no one that comes in that gets less care than anyone else, regardless of anyone else, for the care that can be provided. And so that's good. But we're the largest employer in this town. And healthcare, of course, here is a big issue, because if you go to any area where there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of poor healthcare, right? I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of comorbid conditions and a lot of people not treating a lot of disease. Dialysis rates here in this town are ridiculous. They're ridiculous. Like so many people, because uncontrolled blood pressure and uncontrolled health conditions lead to kidney failure. And so our dialysis numbers are crazy. Our obesity numbers are crazy, which again, I'm not fat shaming, but the point being that if you're obese, you have more health problems and it leads to worse health outcomes, right? And so it's quite a challenge to do what we do here, just because of the fact that health is poor, right? So when you start from a poor health place, when you get sick, it's harder to get better. COVID, at one point, Albany, Georgia was number 4 in the world in per capita COVID cases. Per capita meaning the number of cases per population. So you had Wuhan, you had New York City, or well, Italy, then you had New York City, then Albany, Georgia. And you think, why Albany, Georgia? Well, Albany, Georgia, because we had high obesity rates, high comorbid conditions. We had 8 ICUs open at one time in our hospital. Almost everyone at that time initially was a very obese person, because the first round of COVID, obesity was a huge risk factor, which unfortunately I don't think we heard a lot about. And I don't think we heard a lot about it because it's like the goal was just to not talk bad about and again, I'm not fat shaming. I'm not trying to talk bad about people who are obese. It's just we understood that obesity was such a risk for death with COVID. It just was, right? And that's me saying it just because every single person in 8 ICUs was obese. And so the Delta variant is different, but obesity is a big risk factor. And of course, here we had a lot of that, right? It's just the way it is. I'm not saying that I don't want anyone to get mad at me or send me terrible emails, but the point being, it's just what's true. Yeah. So anyway, it's an interesting town. It's a good place to work. I can make a difference for a lot of people, but there's a lot of work still to do. That's all I can say.
Told you.
About
Peak,
helpful.
Peak said you would know how Albany was founded and the information. I was like, bet.
Yeah, no, I mean it yeah, but it's it's a southern town. It has a southern past. I mean, it's but
Oh, that's a significant amount of communities, in the
Yeah,
South. They have
but I
very
mean-
similar,
but I think Albany. So one interesting thing about Albany is the number of people that live here who have never been anywhere else in their life, right? And we're very isolated. So there's like us, there's Dothan, Alabama, Tallahassee, Valdosta, Atlanta, and we sit in the middle of that with no great way to get here. So there's not a big reason to come here, right? And so you would be astounded the number of people that live in Albany. Like Emory University has come down here and done studies. And the reason they did it was because no one ever leaves, and they could do generational studies, because it's like you'll have a household and it'll have 3 or 4 generations of people from the same family that live in that household, and they could do studies, because you can't find those people in other places because the kids have all left and moved off, right? Not here. People don't leave. A bunch of people here have never been anywhere else, never left this town. And it's just kind of crazy, but it's just how it is.
Well, I mean, I read online stuff I heard. I read online that like 98% of the population of the world never ventures more than 40 miles from where they were born. They never live 10 miles from where they were born.
98% of the world? That's a big number.
Yeah.
I would have said 95.
I would say that as time goes by, right, that number has got to shrink. I mean, right, because
Maybe.
yeah.
Well, I think you're talking about generational. I think the
Yeah.
newer generations are more apt to be
Sure.
willing to move and go and do.
Well,
I think the more
Unless we have a nonstop pandemic situation from now on that generationally gets taught to people of stay indoors, don't go to anybody.
well,
Well,
to be fair, that I actually I
fair.
disagree with that. Is that because right now we're seeing a large population move away from big cities out into the rural communities, because Greg and I had this conversation
Yeah.
about people found that they can start telecommuting and work from home, and now they're like, well, big city's kind of cool, but I can't do anything in the big city. I might as well go have this homestead or a place that they may or may not have always wanted, And those man, you got a rodent problem, Greg. That these mice have found multiple Harleys to ride around your
Is that
house.
cabbage, George?
Yeah, buffalo in here.
Can the
Sounds like they're making a
can the
frosting.
candle come to the table? It's just why is it over? It didn't need to be off camera.
Oh,
I mean,
Have we talked about how corned beef gives me gas?
I think that we're well aware. We are well aware.
My
Goody
eyes are
goo goo.
watering.
Goody goo goo.
What's that, something
That's
else?
foul, man.
Oh,
So-
it's moving.
One of the things that you see, one of the things that you, so I was talking to maybe Peak or you about the fact that in Albany, let's move this over.
I said this. All right. Where the this is
Hey, there's a candle.
that
Is that
actually-
flammable?
We need a fan. Yeah. Hey, if we see something shoot up. So,
Why is the candle in front of me?
because you stink. Why do you think?
It says stress.
Well,
relief.
Yeah,
It-
we
I
need
feel a little more
we
stressed
need
now.
stress
that
relief.
is actually
I
in a
am
good
super
position because
stressed.
it does not. The camera does not pick up the additional light. It's not going to screw up.
It actually should be behind me.
Well, no,
the buffalo
no,
was
that.
roaming.
No, I'm going to say that's a flammable area. We're,
Yeah, right.
That's a
That's right.
confined space that we're trying not to.
All right. So what I want to say is that what you see in cities like Albany, where there's not any opportunity, because I'm not sure if I talked to who I talked to about it, but we haven't had new businesses come, but we have had plenty of businesses leave.
Like Coke.
Right.
We saw the Coke plant.
So,
closed.
well, it moved, but
Yeah.
I mean, we had Roche Pharmaceuticals, they're gone. M&M's, and there's a P&G here. There's a military base, a Marine base here. There's my hospital. I mean, those are our big employers. There's Miller Coors. Miller Coors is not the biggest employer in town. However, all Miller Coors plants are Fortune 500 companies by themselves. I learned that. I had jury duty with a guy who worked there, and he was like, "Do you understand?" Like, like it's amazing. We could talk some about that, but the point being that kids that are in a town like Albany, where there are opportunities, and they go off to college, like the University of Georgia, they go to Athens or whatever, they're not coming back because there's nothing to do here for them, right? They go to school and they got to get a job. There's no opportunity, and so they're not coming here because there's no opportunity, right? And so, yeah, you know, it'll be interesting. I think that over time, the population here has got to decrease, because if everyone else leaves and then the people that are here die, you know, we'll see. I don't know, but I don't know.
That's kind of what I thought Florence was going to do when we were
Oh,
younger.
Florence didn't do that though.
No,
Florence blew up.
Florence is more like
Yeah,
just
Florence
foot on the
blew up.
gas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Its location was never going to let
I
that
know.
city fail. Where
well,
and the
Florence
crazy part
has-
is like I learned that Florence wasn't going to be the city that it was going to be. The railroad actually wanted to go through Timmonsville, but Timmonsville felt like if the railroad came through their town, that it was going to bring in the wrong crowd. So they said no, thank you.
It's
So
really
the railroad
crazy.
went next
Yeah.
door to Florence. They were like,
boy, there's
we
some
go
irony
here.
there.
right.
Well, it's really crazy, and I don't know all the details of this. Totally honestly, this is just something I heard secondhand. But some big businessman in Albany, or some entity in Albany that was big wigs, opposed the highway coming through here.
Mhm.
And I don't know why. Like, why would you think that? I don't know, but that it threatened them in some way, or they thought it did, and they shut that down. And so it went to Valdosta, because you think, had 75 come through Albany, it'd be a whole different town, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now Valdosta would also be a whole different town.
Right? The
Yeah, because-
shoes may have been flipped.
Sure.
Yeah.
But whoever it was, or why ever it was that they opposed that, you look however many years later, how detrimental that was. And you think you were an idiot, right? Like, you not only if it hurt your interest, fine, but you hurt the whole rest of this town, and you hurt so many people, right? I mean, this town is an interesting place. One thing, I work in infectious disease.
Sounds like he wants to move out of Florence.
Well,
Next to the Bucky's or in the Bucky's.
I'm sure he could.
if they make Bucky's Commons, I'm moving in. I'm just saying. But with all that being said, yeah,
We need to call the
Buc-ee's
PR
coming.
people at Bucky's.
They'd be like, we actually do need a healthcare provider.
that's correct. If they do a Bucky's healthcare clinic, I'll go
Can we,
work
can
there.
we pay you in Bucky dollars? You'd be like, I'm listening.
You can pay me. Can we pay you in Bucky nuggets? Like, yes, Sure. And
You can use
slice
the restroom anytime
slice-
you want.
slice beef
Craig gets his
brisket
own
sandwiches.
plaque on one of the stalls.
Sliced beef
Great
brisket
stall.
sandwiches and Bucky nuggets, plus free reign of the bathrooms. I'll be like roaming around in there. They'll be
In
like,
his bathroom, and you're like, Mr. Steele.
they'll be like, this was a terrible idea. Yeah.
Who signed off on this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. That's a lot of stuff. But anyway, I will say this about working. I work in infectious disease. And so one thing that's interesting about working infectious disease in this city, because of all the poor healthcare and that, you see stuff here that you don't see anywhere else. Like you get any infectious disease person that comes here is like, I've only ever seen that in a textbook, and we see it fairly regularly because health here is so bad, right? HIV rates here are terrible, although HIV rates in the whole South are terrible. I don't know if you even want to talk about or hear about this, but 50% of new HIV cases in the country are in 9 southern states. So HIV has become a southern problem. Your lifetime risk of HIV, if you live in the state of Georgia, is like 1 in 53. So if you put 200 people in a room, 4 of them have HIV. And so
Stuff I heard, everybody.
I see tons of HIV. And unfortunately, and on top of seeing that, I don't see HIV diagnosed early, which means I see all the opportunistic infections, right? So I see stuff here that you ain't seeing in other places in this country. And I'm like, wow. I mean, and I know how to deal with it. Great, but it's not ideal. So it's Albany is a great example of a city in this country where, things could be better. Things could be better. So anyway, I do
Sounds like the perfect place that H.P. Lovecraft could have one of his stories.
Sure. Well, here's the thing: is a person such as myself, no, I mean, I do what I can, right? I mean, I do have an opportunity to impact people in a positive way, but I don't have an opportunity to do as much as I would like to do because there's a lot of things that would have to be changed at a fundamental level to really, because you don't want to see me, right? Like the ideal thing would be never to see
I
me.
drove 16
So,
hours to see him.
yeah.
What the fuck is he talking about?
I don't know.
Well, I'm
I
just
think he means healthcare.
Oh,
The thing
you're
is-
right.
is-
I don't want to see him because I would be in bad shape.
yeah. The thing is
Light bulb.
you'll drive 16 hours back and you'll be all right.
I'd be shaking my head going,
Yeah,
what
you'll
was
be all
I
right.
thinking?
Yeah. But
I can just picture him
you
in
know.
like a lab coat with a big
And-
long needle.
And
going,
why won't this tattoo come off now?
Yes.
you
Why
should
did
see
I put it on my
yeah.
forehead?
I was like, well,
I couldn't understand. It's like
Hey, but you
I-
got that pressure washer.
I-
Maybe that could help.
yeah, it's right, Greg. You can hire me. Next time I come back down, I'll bring my pressure washing unit
Yes.
from my business, and you can hire me for the people who
blow
like,
off tattoos who put it on their forehead.
and
That's
I
a good
just
idea.
we will videotape it. We'll TikTok it,
We'll make sure they sign a waiver.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
we'll yes.
I couldn't
And
understand.
then they may still have to come and see you. We're like, what happened to your skin?
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't understand after I gave him so many. He's like, no, I need 16. Like, don't look at his back. He's tatted up. Yeah.
it's not what you said last night. You said you.
Oh,
Give me the
that's
sponge. I'll put it in.
You do your thing. And they're like, hey, I
He's
said,
happy now.
don't judge. That's right.
That's why I locked my bedroom door. I'm just saying.
And it's going to be like, why did you put one there? Advertising, baby. Got you notice.
Made you look. I mean,
Made you look.
no publicity is bad publicity.
95 is now the chocolate starfish.
95
That's all I
sponsor
gotta
of Stuff I Heard podcast. Chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth.
All right. Well,
I can't
So-
go to the bathroom. Cut me, Mick.
we took this poor podcast to a terrible place.
I don't know
And
what
I'm
you're talking
sorry about that. I didn't mean to do that. But I don't know. I mean,
Pick you up. I scented kennel today for all of your corned beef needs.
for your corned beef, well,
For my
actually,
corned
for
beef
our needs, because we're subjected to you. I mean, it's
I knew
impressive.
the sauerkraut together was going to be a gaseous event. I did not expect it to double over as much.
I mean, that last time you raised off the seat about 1.5 inches. That
Oh, I
was
had some
pretty
salad
impressive.
in between there. I couldn't stop the enormousness of it all.
Huh. stuff I heard.
Mhm.
Right.
I know my wife's like, great. Now this is on a podcast.
Yeah. It's like stuff I smelled podcast.
That's the
Yeah.
light bulb.
Yeah. Wow.
That's going to be the new invention.
That's it.
What's that smell, George? Is that cabbage?
Have they actually come up with a scratch and sniff for the internet? Because if so,
What does dead moose smell like? Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's what before your podcast you send out to everyone. Don't open this bottle until
that's right.
5 minutes into the podcast.
Comments would be, "This podcast smells like death." Wow.
Like the Pee Wee Herman show. When I tell you, we're all going to scream real loud.
Yeah, that happened to me inside.
Yeah.
I would have done it more, but I was unconscious.
Oh, let's see. I think we can wrap this up.
Well, hey, so here's the real question. Is this like the worst podcast you've ever done?
No.
No, we've done one before that was probably much worse.
We did a
about
5-hour one
on karaoke.
that someone listened to for some reason. Like,
Yeah,
why did someone listen
to
to
the
the
karaoke podcast?
No, the 5-hour podcast? There were a bunch of people that listened to it. And I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
And we had so many inside jokes that there's no way they understood what we actually were talking about.
I think I did one not long ago. It was like 15 minutes long where I was like, I am so tired. That was like the whole podcast. I was like, I am so tired. Yeah. So that may have been my worst.
Well, good. We are not the bottom of the barrel.
Trying to-
Now
trying
it
to
smells like the
enlighten
bottom
people.
of the barrel, but that's a
I
different
think
thing.
the real problem is like you can have a podcast and here's what I really feel like. Like I feel like I'm your worst guest ever. Like Treadaway will come on and Treadaway will talk about like Star Wars. And everybody's like, yay, Star Wars. And then I come in, I'm like, hey, guess what? AIDS is bad. Right? Like yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I'm just saying.
Mr. Mackey, tell us more.
I might be your worst guest ever because I'm always talking about like,
aren't using condoms correctly.
I'm always talking about this.
You're gonna get smoked
I'm
up.
always talking about this terrible shit. Like it's like we hate that dude. Don't bring him back. Yeah.
Oh my
But-
God, AIDS killed Kenny.
Yeah,
Sorry.
probably so. But it but I have been an allowed guest on this podcast on many, many occasions, just because we're friends, I'm sure, but I appreciate it. I enjoy it. It's fun.
No, it's all an opportunity.
Yeah. And you have other guests who actually talk about you have other guests who talk about serious things, right?
All the opportunities I
Yeah.
can have. This is an opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. You have other guests. I've listened to your
All in all,
podcast.
it's already-
I know. So you're like, I can't really talk to you. Yes. So
Well, why don't you
Wild Wild West podcast coming soon,
talk-
maybe in the year 2025. Because I missed the year 2020. I didn't do it because of COVID.
Oh, is that why?
I was afraid that the particles from my voice would transmit.
Oh, through the podcast.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
You're a giver. Like seriously. Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
glad you think of me that way. I appreciate
He
it.
likes to give to the heart.
Wow.
I'm going to get in trouble somewhere down
Here's
the
my
road.
real question. If Treadaway actually did a podcast, let's say you could actually talk him into it because I know it hadn't happened. But if he did,
Go ahead.
how would it be useful? Like, what could he actually have to say?
So
That would help.
He's actually discussed this with me on the podcast before.
Uh-huh.
And I think it would be detrimental to his future plans.
Or society as a whole.
No, I think if it wasn't for his pursuits professionally, I think that it would be wildly popular. I mean, it's a good idea.
420.
Yeah, it's a 420.
It would have to be 420. right?
designed
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
It's not a bad idea. It's actually a really good idea, but
I think you both
he
have-
has plans for other things, and that contradicts his plans.
You
And I
both
don't
have-
think in the big picture of things it'd be smart.
I think you both have missed the actual problem. Is like he would not get past the first podcast because once he did one on any platform, that platform would then shut down.
Well, he'd have to have somebody.
Like the whole platform.
Right, he'd have to
like
have
not just
somebody
his
do-
podcast.
He'd have to have somebody do the technical stuff because he wouldn't do it.
That's not what I mean, but okay,
What-
cool. Yes, the technical problem would cause the platform to shut down. Not that the business that he was performing for would shut down.
I still think that I have an incredibly great podcast idea, which is I don't know if you'd call it the Monotone Podcast,
Where everything is.
but the one we talked about where like the whole thing would be like totally boring. and be like, yeah, like no, like you would do a podcast and you would just talk in the most monotone voice. Like you literally
You
could,
mean like the voice in the middle of the Foo Fighters song Everlong? Where
Yeah.
it's
well, I mean, you literally could like read recipes,
We're
right?
gonna call it
Like, you
the
could
most
do-
boring podcast ever.
Yeah.
But like have it in like exclamation points
Yeah.
and bold. And
Like-
then when you tune in, it's just us like reading the
You could
paper.
read like technical manuals in the most monotone voice ever, and people would probably listen to it to go to sleep, right? It'd be like, you know what I mean? It would be like, yeah, I don't know anything about drive shafts, but we could talk about that or whatever, right? Yeah. Like I have
It's not a
technical
terrible
manuals.
idea.
right. Just as I have a friend who would just tell you, just do it. Just the hardest
I'm right
part
here.
is just
You
doing.
can say it's me.
No, I mean, I think that would be a great idea. I mean, it's crazy. So I
What
think
if you had a time lapse YouTube channel where it just watched your beard grow? And you called the channel As the Beard Grows.
Well, I could do that. It could also be incorporated in the Wild Wild West, coming to you in
So, like,
2025.
like for an hour a day, you just sit in front of the camera. You just have the camera on your face.
Oh,
Is that
man.
like watching paint dry?
Yeah.
If you what if you made it like a weird thing that you did on Pornhub where you like ate Cheetos? There's gonna be somebody out there being like, "Oh yeah, eat the Cheetos, eat them."
Have you-
Never.
He got some in his beard again.
Have you not seen my OnlyFans page?
It
I
would
thought
be
that was where you showed off your fans in your house.
it would be amazing if you took a GoPro, like you know the thing that goes on your neck like a harmonica,
Yeah.
but you do it with a GoPro, and then like literally you just
Live your
watch your
life,
beard grow.
But you just,
Yeah.
it's pointed at your
Yeah,
face the entire
like
time.
continuously
As
watch
the
your beard grow.
grows.
Yes, yes. So, I think I told you both this story, but I'll say it. Like we were at a dinner one time for Lane's work, and I was talking to this guy who was trying to convince me with everything in his heart that I should be on Twitter. I don't think I should be on Twitter. Like, and my argument to
No
him
one should be on
was
Twitter.
no. My argument to him was no
False.
one cares what I say. It's like everyone cares what you say. No one cares what I say. And like literally, we had to be at this event for several hours, and
And
he
yet
would,
here we are.
well, several hours. He would not leave me alone about it. So here's what I did. I finally got tired of him, and I said, "Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create a Twitter account, and basically, like every time I take a shit, I'm gonna take a picture of it. I'm gonna post it on Twitter. I kid you not. He thought about it for a minute. He's like, "You'd get so many followers," and I was like, "That's why I don't need to be on Twitter. That's why I don't need to be on Twitter." Yeah.
Just like doing a podcast. If you're doing a podcast, you should be on multiple social media platforms, just like the Wild Wild West podcast coming to you in 2025.
Or our
Well-
new site, Only Pans, where we show off the pans in our kitchen.
I almost kind of regret not getting on Twitter at that time because I'd have a whole bunch of crap pictures by now.
What if I had a channel where I just
Yeah.
ate corned beef and farted a lot?
You do. Here it is.
I mean, another
Yeah,
one,
right.
like a pay site, Patreon. We do a Patreon. People subscribe in. You're like,
Only-
who's gonna do it? Here it comes.
Only
Oh, this
corn,
is really long too. Oh
only
my God.
cornedbeef.com.
Only corned beef. Sauerkraut.
only crowd.com. Oh, that's amazing. I like
Kraut in his boost knuckle.
it. Only if you were a leader.
Yeah, in today's post, I shall be consuming 3 pounds of the fermented sauerkraut.
You know, the more you
With some
laugh, the more
stone
you
mustard.
encourage
I
him,
don't
right?
think you can say I'll pump you up. I'm not sure what you'd say,
I could then sell the lederhosen afterwards on the pay site.
That's right.
You
Oh.
chime into the monthly club.
Time
and
on
I mail
rock,
them
it's
to
time
you.
to dance.
No washy for 3 days.
I went to Rip Out Your Eyes and make love to years ago. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry.
All right. We've now into the delusional part of the podcast. So I think I'm going to wrap it up so we can laugh hysterically and say
I'm-
things that don't need to be on the podcast.
I'm pretty certain the entire podcast has been the delusional part, but whatever.
False.
Thank you, Josh. Wow.
So,
Thank you.
so
You're welcome.
Wild Wild West, any last comments before we
Podcast coming 2025. Did I say that before?
go
Wait.
check out Dad Jokes? They're in the
Wait.
Salisbury, Maryland area.
Yeah, that we'll be having some gigs probably happening in October. So
You might see him or someone who looks like him or someone who wears a shirt with his
I may
face
have
on it.
I may have a bit longer beard by then.
Hey,
So
go to his
Someone wearing a
website.
shirt with his face on it.
Go to his website and see all the shows that are canceled.
I do need to make that. I need to make that the cover photo. Is that
Yes,
shirt?
you
You're right.
should.
That should just
That's
be
right.
up there. Like
And we need to update it.
you were supposed to be in Vegas. Like
That's
yeah,
right.
that's right.
I'll take a photo of it and put it on the.
So
put it on
we
the
were
page.
opening for Chris Angel actually. So
That's amazing.
Showbiz.
Wow.
Peanut butter.
It's an incredible disappointment that
they're
all
like
those
nobody went to see. It.
great
We're like, well,
shows-
nobody went to see us either. Okay, just saying.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Everybody out there, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching this on YouTube. Please help us out by remembering to rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And I always end this by saying, "Cue the cow." So, cue the cow.
Cue the cow.
Move, baby.
Blah.
Mm-hmm.
To give me more likes.